The United States government just did something that has stunned legal experts, civil rights advocates, and immigration attorneys across the country. Family members of Iran's most feared military commander, General Qasem Soleimani, the man America itself killed in a drone strike back in 2020, have been detained on U.S. soil. Their green cards? Revoked, without warning, without charges, just gone. So here's the question. Nobody in mainstream media is asking loudly enough. Is this justice? Is this legal? Or is this the beginning of something far more dangerous for millions of immigrants living in America right now? Stay with us, because what you're about to hear affects every single person holding a green card in this country. Welcome back to Global Entry News, the channel that cuts through the noise and gives you the real story, straight and unfiltered. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a breaking story like this one. We cover the news that matters, the stories that shape your world, your rights, and your future. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most controversial immigration moves the U.S. government has made in recent memory: the detention and green card revocation of relatives of the late Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. This is not just an immigration case. This is a geopolitical flashpoint, and it has serious implications for due process, civil liberties, and America's standing on the world stage. Let's start with some background, because context is everything here. Qasem Soleimani was the head of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Quds force, one of the most powerful and feared military figures in the entire Middle East. For decades, he operated as what analysts called the shadow commander, orchestrating Iran's influence across Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and beyond. The U.S. government had designated him a terrorist, and in January 2020, President Donald Trump ordered a drone strike near Baghdad International Airport that killed Soleimani, along with several others. The assassination sent shockwaves across the globe. Iran called it an act of war. Millions mourned in the streets of Tehran, and the world held its breath, waiting to see what would come next. Fast forward to today, and the story has taken a deeply personal and legally troubling turn. Relatives of Soleimani, some of them distant family members, who had been living legally in the United States on green cards, were suddenly taken into custody by immigration authorities. Their permanent residence status was revoked, and they were placed in detention facilities. No criminal charges, no terrorism-related convictions, just their last name and their bloodline. Now, to understand why this is so alarming, you need to understand what a green card actually means. A lawful permanent resident in the United States has gone through one of the most rigorous vetting processes in the world. Background checks, interviews, financial requirements, years of waiting. The system is designed to be thorough. These individuals had cleared every single hurdle. They were living here legally, working, paying taxes, building lives, and then overnight, the government decided that wasn't enough. The Department of Homeland Security and immigration enforcement officials justified the move by citing national security concerns. Their argument is that the family connections to Soleimani, a designated terrorist, make these individuals potential security risks. But legal experts are tearing that reasoning apart. Constitutional law professors, immigration attorneys, and civil liberties organizations are all pointing to the same fundamental problem. You cannot punish someone for the actions of a family member. That principle, the prohibition on collective punishment, is not just an American legal standard. It is enshrined in international humanitarian law. It is a cornerstone of human rights. Think about what this precedent would mean if it were allowed to stand. If the government can revoke your green card because of who your father was, your uncle was, or your cousin was, regardless of anything you personally did or didn't do, then no immigrant in this country is truly secure. Your legal status becomes conditional not on your own behavior, but on the behavior of people you may have had no contact with in years or ever. That is not the rule of law. That is guilt by association, and it has no place in a democratic society. According to reporting from NewsNation and other outlets covering this story closely, the detained individuals immediately sought legal counsel and filed emergency motions in court. Their attorneys argue that their clients' due process rights have been flagrantly violated. They were given no notice, no opportunity to respond, no hearing before their status was stripped from them. That is a direct violation of the procedural protections that the law is supposed to guarantee to every person on American soil, citizen or not. But here's where it gets even more complex. Sources indicate that this action against the Soleimani family may not be an isolated incident. Officials are reportedly working from a broader list. Individuals whose family ties to the Iranian government, military, or affiliated organizations have put them on a watch list. The crackdown appears to be part of a larger strategy by the Trump administration to apply maximum pressure on Iran through every available lever: diplomatic, economic, and now, apparently, through the families of its officials who happen to be living in the United States. The Iranian government has responded with fury. Tehran has condemned the detentions as barbaric and an act of vengeance against the family of a martyr. Iranian officials have vowed to raise the matter at international forums and have called on the United Nations to intervene. While Iran's rhetoric is often strong, the substance of their legal argument here is one that even Western human rights organizations are echoing. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have both issued statements expressing serious concern over this development. They argue that it reflects a broader pattern of the U.S. government weaponizing immigration enforcement for political ends, targeting people not for what they've done, but for who they're related to and where they come from. The chilling effect this has on the Iranian American community is already being felt. Thousands of Iranian Americans, many of whom fled the Iranian regime themselves, are now questioning whether their own legal status is safe, despite having lived here for years, for decades, and having built their entire lives in this country. There is also a deeper geopolitical layer to consider. The timing of this move is not accidental. U.S.-Iran tensions have remained extremely high, and the nuclear deal negotiations have stalled. Soleimani's name remains a deeply emotional and politically charged symbol in Iran. He is celebrated as a national hero by the Iranian state. By targeting his relatives, the Trump administration is sending a very deliberate message to Tehran that America's posture toward Iran remains one of maximum pressure and that no symbolic line will be left uncrossed. But here's the critical question Americans need to ask themselves: at what cost? When we allow the government to bypass due process for people we don't like, or people connected to someone we don't like, we are not protecting freedom. We are eroding it. The same legal protections that shield an Iranian green card holder from arbitrary detention are the same protections that shield every American from the unchecked power of the state. You cannot selectively apply the Constitution based on national origin or family name without doing serious damage to the very foundation of what this country claims to stand for. The courts will ultimately have the final say here. Legal analysts believe the government will face an extremely difficult time defending this action before an independent judiciary. The burden of proof required to revoke a permanent resident status, especially without criminal charges, is substantial, and family association alone is unlikely to meet that bar. But if political pressure compromises the judiciary's independence, or if these cases drag on for months while families remain separated and detained, the damage will already be done. not just to the individuals involved, but to America's credibility as a nation of laws. That's the full picture on today's explosive story: the U.S. government's decision to detain and revoke the green cards of relatives of Iran's late commander Qasem Soleimani. It raises profound questions about due process, civil liberties, and what it truly means to live under the rule of law in America. This story is still developing, and we will be following every update as it comes. If you found this report valuable, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, because this kind of news doesn't get the attention it deserves in the mainstream. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it right now. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stay connected with Global Entry News, because we're not going anywhere, and neither is this story. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay sharp.